Guys, it's me, Dominique, again. I'm coming in with this video because I just felt like it needed to be recorded. I needed to speak on my perspective. Stated in my update video, I had to take a step back from recording YouTube videos because spiritually and mentally I was weak. I was exhausted, I was drained, and the state of our country had a lot to do with that. Despite my own personal issues that I was dealing with within, my home, my family, my kids, finance, stuff like that. So, here's the thing for me. For anyone that does not follow me on any other social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, I'm going to let you know where my stance is at right now. My stance is Black Lives Matter. Because you have some people that say Blue Lives Matter, no, all lives matter. I'm on the stance of Black Lives Mattering. The reason why I feel the statement needs to be said and doesn't need to be combated with all lives matter is because Black Lives Matter wouldn't be a statement needed if Black lives really mattered to America. I'm 30 years old. I grew up in the Miami area. Now, for anyone who's familiar with the Miami area, Miami is predominantly a melting pot of blacks, Hispanics, whites, whatever. So, the type of racism that anyone north of Palm Beach and the rest of the South was introduced to, I wasn't really introduced to until I became an adult. My first real story that I can remember, or that I can even go back to, where I felt like I was dealt with in terms of racism, was an adult after I became a parent. I was raised, being that because I'm from the Miami area, my parents are from the Caribbean, which, like most people who are raised in Miami, if you're not of Hispanic descent, you're Caribbean, majority of the time is somewhere, because we're that close to the Caribbean. So I was raised a certain way being from the Caribbean. My mom's Bahamian, my dad was Haitian, and my family is basically of Haitian descent. But we were raised that we were different than Black Americans, and that we were better than Black Americans in the eye of white people. So we were always raised to do things a certain way, to always separate ourselves, to be the respectable Negro. We were raised to be smarter, we were raised to speak better, we were raised to be better. So, naturally, when I grew up, even now I speak a certain way, but it is what it is because that's how I grew up. So when I had children, especially when I found out I was having a son, I didn't want my son to be viewed like other black people. So I was like, my son's not going to speak a certain way. He's not going to use certain words. He's only going to go to certain schools. He's only going to be around certain environments, because I want him to stand out. I want him to be different. I don't want them to look at him like they look at the rest of us. That was my mindset. I got a wake-up call. Keep in mind, I'm married. I have 2 children. I have the American dream. Married woman, 2 children, girl and a boy, white picket fence, all of that. So, like, when you look, you would think we're the respectable blacks. So my son goes to a specific school. His school is, I'll say his school is predominantly black. The time my son started school, I always wanted us to be perceived a certain way, our family. I always wanted people to know that my son came from a 2-parent household, 2 working parents, but, well, a 2-income household, but mom wasn't as career driven, so so they looking at us like, okay, he has 2 parents in the home, he has a 2-income home, but mom works from home, or mom is home, so she's a homemaker, you know, that little perfect image. That's what I tried to make sure people knew about our family, so that they would not judge my son just based on the color of his skin, or so I thought. The first instant, I really felt like I faced racism, and it hurt, and it just made me reevaluate everything. My son, you know, accidentally broke a headset at his school. So the teacher approached his regular homeroom teacher and said, oh, just approached him and said, because she's white, and this is how I felt. Some people may say I took it differently than maybe it was, but this is just how I felt, and I'm going to stand on it. The teacher said, one of your students broke the headset. Good luck getting his parents to pay for it. So I was kind of taken aback. I was kind of taken back by the way everything was stated to me, by the story I got from my son. And the way she approached the situation upset my son so much, it made him cry, because she made him feel like he did something so wrong, and that his parents would not be able to replace it, and they would be mad at him. Like, the way the tone that she used put him in that state of mind. Keep in mind, these are $4 headphones. So she made a whole spectacle, made my son feel a certain kind of way. So his homeroom teacher comes to me. Keep in mind, I'm always at the school. I'm at every meeting, every PTA meeting, every show. I bring cake to my son's school for his birthday. I make sure his dad shows up on some of these occasions, so they know that he has a 2-parent household, so they know that we're the respectable Negroes, so they don't judge my son based on the fact that he is just black, and he's just like the black y'all stereotype. So his homeroom teacher, he knows I'm a cool, like, his homeroom teacher, we had a very good relationship. He was a cool partner, I'm a cool partner. We used to, like, you know, talk about cool partner stuff. His homeroom teacher I loved, and I still love. He wasn't the one that I faced that issue with. It was another teacher. I'm not sure what exactly the teacher taught. I'm not sure if she was even a teacher. Maybe she was an aide. I don't know. But the way she approached the situation. So his teacher came to me. His teacher said, look, you know, he broke these headphones. This is how much they cost. They, you know, whenever you can, you know, send them to school, whatever, and so they can be replaced. Which, it was fine. It was $4 headphones. Like, $4, like, I got $4. Shit, we not balling, but I got it. So I'm like, okay. But I was bothered by that, because I felt like, here I am, making sure everyone knows my son is not like other little black boys. You know, he's not this, he's not that. He comes from a 2-parent household. His mom is very present, and here I am just trying to make sure that they see that he's different, and they still see the same. They see him how they were raised, how they stereotype the rest of us. Like, basically the only terminology I can say about this is, no matter how much I try to dress it up, no matter how much I try to make us look good, no matter how much I try to make us portray an image, they still looked at my baby as a nigga. Point blank, period. She looked at my son like an underprivileged kid who couldn't afford to pay for $4 headphones, and whose parents wouldn't pay for it, whose parents wouldn't take responsibility because we're ghetto trash, we're on welfare. And that's just how I took that situation. And after that, I was like, you know what? Fuck trying to be what they want me to be, and I'm just going to be me. I'm not going to soften my blackness. I'm not going to be less black. I'm not going to make my kids not use slang. I'm not going to make my kids speak a certain way. I'm not going to make my kids not act black or not be who they are to make them feel comfortable, to make them not stereotype us. Because at the end of the day, they're still going to look at us however they want to look at us. So there's no need to stifle who I am and make my children stifle who they are. Because at the end of the day, that's not going to change their perspective. Now, I'm not speaking on all white people, obviously. I'm speaking on the white people who see a black person, who have the prejudice in their heart, who have a stereotype of us, and who view us all in the same mind frame. That's who I'm speaking to. I'm not we live in. This is what it is. And I just got to the point that I'm not going to stifle who I am. I'm not going to soften my blackness to make someone else feel comfortable. I'm black. There's no getting past it. And I'm bothered by the statement that when people say I don't see color. Because people who usually say I don't see color have the luxury of not having to see color. I'm a black woman. I don't have the luxury of saying I don't see color. Because when I'm seen by other, that's the first thing that's seen is color. It is what it is. So don't say you don't see color. Say I see your color, but I'm not judging your integrity, your character, and who you are as a person based on the color of your skin, based on the stereotypes that I have been fed. Say that. That's just my standpoint on what's going on in the world, the state of the affairs, and that's just how I feel about everything. And I just want people to wake up and realize racism does exist. It's not going away if you sweep it under the rug. The only way you combat racism and oppression is staring that shit in the face and denouncing it. And actively trying to change it. Not acting like you don't see it. Not pushing it to the side. Because some of us don't have the luxury of doing that. And that's all I have to say. So until next video, I'm out.